Yeah.
Okay, so let me just start out with the questions that I always ask. So first of all, why did you decide to get the coaching?
It's because like I think I got a lot of the fundamentals, and but the thing is like I got some misconceptions about like when I have a lead, how to use it right. You know, if I'm like 10-2 and I have everything I need to do win a game, and then it's like I don't know. I'm at this point. Okay, which lane should I push? Should I just farm? Where do I go? Like
Mm-hmm.
these mid to late game thing.
Yeah. So like actually being able to close out games
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
something you're
Because like
struggling
the
with.
start always like it feels nice. I got a lot of games where I'm good early, and then I don't use the lead, and then I lose or get tilted, and then just you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand. How long have you been playing League? Like on this account, this seems
On
to
this
be.
account, yeah, that's a new account. I
Mm-hmm.
think you can see that. But I started like season 3 just a little bit
Oh,
as
okay.
fun, and then I stopped for like I don't know 7 years, and then I played again. I
Oh,
never
okay.
really played a lot, but now I'm just feeling the game because it's a game I
Okay.
always came back to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So what's your goal this season then?
I would say like I had promotions for gold like yesterday, and then I fucked up again. I would love to be like gold or even plat. I mean, gold is like near, so I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I could do this on my own. But like plat or maybe
Yeah,
diamond,
okay.
but I think diamond the hustle is too big for me.
Yeah, I think so. This season Diamond probably out of reach. Platinum, if you play a lot, like it's still I mean it's still a long time, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, like plat 2 or plat 1 would be great.
yeah. I mean with the mid-season reset thing, I don't know, that could be good if you have a good
Yeah,
start to the next season, I guess then, or like to the next split.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. So what do you think? I'm actually asking a little bit different questions this time. So what do you think, first of all, like your biggest weaknesses are? You already told me, right? Like closing out games and that kind of stuff. But also maybe what your biggest strengths are, or what you think your biggest strengths are, would be interesting to know.
Like the thing is, my biggest weakness is kind of that sometimes I get this like tunnel view because I'm
Hmm.
feeling it right, and I just stop to think the things I would think because like every game I start pretty nice in my opinion,
Hmm.
and then I get loose in like I want to get kills or I want to get this or that. I don't know. So like my biggest weakness is about being focused and do the right thinking processes in mid to late game
Hmm.
really. And I would say like a big strength is like on my last I played Ekko since like 1.5 year, and I would say I'm in a position where I don't have to think about what do I need to do with the champion. I can like have the focus on the game now, and that's what
Hmm.
I want. Like I played on another account, I have like 500,000 mastery points, and
Okay.
on this one, so I really played a lot of Echo, and my W's are, in my opinion, pretty good. I got it in my hands, you know
Okay.
what I mean.
Okay. So what are some specific situations you struggle in then, like other than late game in general, I would say. Maybe like certain matchups or yeah, like game states, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I watched a lot of videos too, and since season 13, where like the farming meta is I like to be again able to like clear everything, and for me it's like the there are matchups like Shaco, and if
Hmm.
he knows who I where I am, it's like it's I hate it, like I get this like where I have to overthink the path. And I start red instead of blue because I know he want to get me at red and things like this. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
situational thinking
Mm.
is like I think the biggest problem.
And do you have like any bad habits, I guess, in your gameplay that you already know about?
Yeah, I level with mouse.
Oh, oh. Why do you do that then?
Because for me it feels so bad to press control.
Hmm. Okay.
I don't know, but I will get into that.
I want you to try to do that. Like it's such a small thing. You will do it for 2 games and then after that it's not a problem. I promise you.
I will try it that game.
Yeah, there's really like Like it's really not a difficult thing at all to do.
Yeah.
So have you watched any of my previous coaching videos?
I watched some of them. That
Because like
specific
because of the mechanics question, I guess that I always ask.
but on Echo or like
Yeah,
you
just
ask.
in I always ask like, what do you think mechanics are generally, or like what defines good mechanics?
Yeah, like you said that in your video, like
Mm-hmm.
mechanics in there is like if you gave the with lux,
Yeah,
like the way you walk. So if you have a champion like I don't know Varric, his R is up. I have to be patient. I have to do the right pathing around him
yeah.
and everything like this. So like be
Yeah,
focused.
generally just thinking about the abilities actively, right? That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to get into people's heads, right? Just not
I
just
think
focusing on your own champs and the gameplay,
yeah,
but
yeah.
really what's happening in the game and what you need to react to. Yeah, okay,
Yeah, in
good.
time, like focusing in time around your situation. I think that's also the biggest issue a lot of player have, because
Yeah.
you have this. That's what I said before, like the tunnel view. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You
So you
go.
would say that's also a problem with you sometimes?
Yeah, it depends.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I get the flow and I have games where I feel I'm pretty ahead also of the thinking of the enemy, but there are games where I lose it. To be
Mm-hmm.
consistent, I think that's my biggest issue, consistency.
But you generally know all the champs? I mean, you've been playing for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
like there are maybe Skarner where I don't know which if it's Q or W,
Mm.
but I know
But
the
you know what
actual.
he will do to you when he's
Yeah,
close to
yeah,
you and
yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of
That
stuff.
of
So
course, yeah.
yeah, and you're using some kind of jungle timer app?
No, no, I don't
No,
use.
I would definitely recommend that. I mean, if it's such a huge help to you, and I guess we can also go into the OPGG with that. I will just share my screen really quick.
Yeah,
Because you said something to me, right? Like that you like farming and whatever, but I feel like for that your farm numbers are really low.
yeah,
With 6 CS per minute, and especially also one thing I noticed right away, of course, is that you like playing first strike, which I think is completely fine. I think, I mean, I am personally a fan of Dark Harvest at the moment, but I've seen
yeah,
Ekko the Nico play with first strike, and that it's definitely completely viable.
yeah,
But I think, especially with first strike, you should have higher CS numbers, right? Like you should be hitting those 7 to 8 CS in most games, and you basically never hit that, even in games where you like. I mean, 7.5 is fine, but that's like a one-off basically. I mean, there's some games with 7 which is okay, but there's not a single game with like 8 CS, for example, and
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
where you're really fed, you could hit like 10 CS, and those
yeah.
overall it will even out to around 7 to 8 CS.
I
Um,
think that's
also,
also what I
yeah.
said because of the weakness. Like I don't know, should I go bot now or should I just farm? And then it feels bad
Hmm.
to me to just farm. That's what I mean. If I get
Yeah.
like thinking process going, I think that wouldn't be a big problem.
Okay, I guess that's something we
Maybe.
will see. Also, let me
Yeah,
just turn you up a little bit. I just remembered. Okay. Yeah. Another thing, of course, your devs are also pretty high. Like six devs is very high for Echo in my opinion. Also, for example, like 14 devs. I mean, yes,
yeah,
they're in like, your last game. I mean, that's I don't remember a single game where I personally had 14 devs on Echo. It's so easy to not die on Echo.
yeah, yeah.
Like 10 dev games should not be really a thing on Echo, unless you're like playing really bad. And there's some 10 dev games. It probably shows me. One thing I also noticed after scrolling through here, you never build mercs, which I think is quite a mistake in some of those games. And you also you just don't play with tenacity, which I think will definitely help you with your high def games. For example, this game, I mean, you built banshees here, but just against point to click CC like fiddlesticks. I mean, it feels kind of bad in this game maybe, but the mercs also have insane value, of course. Right, that's why you build banshees, because MR is really good. So, and the mercs against point to click CC is super good. It's quite long as well from fiddlesticks, not just the fear but also the silence. Then the game below as well, I would say mercs here is super valuable against Lulu, point to click CC, then Syndra stun, point to click Pantheon CC. I mean, the Pantheon CC is quite low, but still. Yeah, just like even this game, yeah, see like Morgana CC is super super long, Varus ult quite long, Brand Q, like there's so many things, and especially if the good thing about mercs is it kind of helps you to not get layered into a lot of CC, you know? Like,
Mm.
because if the CC duration is shortened a little bit, then it's harder for people to really layer their CC on top of you. So, yeah, I think that's definitely something that you should start doing.
All right.
Just, I can imagine some of those games you probably lost because you were just unable to play the game in the later stages, even though you were fat. Or it was just way too difficult to play without any tenacity.
Yeah, and that's also what that's what I think about, because like the Dark Harvest and
This game.
First Strike thing is like sometimes it felt for me like I started to play First Strike because when I get a lead, I get it much bigger. For me, it felt like this, and then I felt like in the late game sometimes the Dark Harvest thing gets would be better. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
well,
that's a reason too to switch that sometimes depends on the.
yeah, but I think that's not something you should worry about in your elo. You know, like for me personally, for example, I think I'm at a point where I often really think about changing runes and that kind of stuff because it's like you need smaller optimizations as well. But I think in your elo you should just play with one playstyle red and just get good at it, and it will
All
easily
right.
get you to diamond at least, like for sure, and probably yeah, like even to mastery. I play the same rune setup every game at the moment, and it's fine, right? It doesn't make that much of a difference. I'm just gonna say, like in this game, look at their champs. It's so fucking illegal to play without. Like in this game, you should also take tenacity runes in your secondary for sure.
Right.
Like look, Cho'Gath alone is a reason. His W is like two seconds silence or even longer. His Q knocks you up. Well, doesn't help against the knocker, but it also slows you for like 90% for a second afterwards. Then his E slows. Then of course Sejuani has huge amounts
Yeah,
of CC and it's layered. Then
this
TF's
whole
point to click
twist.
CC and also
Yeah,
Lux. It's like in
yeah.
this game you're straight up briefing. They're not building like. But in this game, for example, if you have the mercs and the extra tenacity, it can actually be really good. Like you can tank quite a lot of CC for your team if the enemy's wasted on you, and you won't be CC'd for a very long time. Like I usually win these kind of games when I take the tenacity runes. Like, because it just really makes you CC'd for such a short time, and people usually waste their CC a little bit on you. Mm. So yeah, that should be like the easiest fix I can see from your OPGG. Just
Right.
start building tenacity, and obviously we will see in game how why your CS numbers are so low.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I've also been starting to do is look at the League of Graphs, which I can also recommend people to do. Just look at your own League of Graphs, see your patterns and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, I think one thing, of course, I see here is the duels win rate. I'm just always comparing it to my own because my own is around like 80% duels win rate. It just shows that I know when I can take a duel, and like most of the people I've coached, I think that it's been around 60% for most of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it just shows, right? It's about knowing your limits, of course, that kind of stat. So that's obviously something you won't just be able to improve right away, but I guess it's something you should keep track of and see if it maybe improves over the next season, right? Just it's an interesting stat to see.
And I also think there are a lot of things that make this stat. You know, if you get
Hmm.
more things, you will get better. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's like knowing limits. It's also obviously mechanics play a big
yeah.
part in winning duels. There's a lot of stuff for sure. I guess what I also saw here is right the win rates against certain champs. For example, Shaco. I think you mentioned that matchup. I think it's not a very difficult matchup in general. Like Shaco is first of all at the moment one of the worst champs in the game, and
Mm-hmm.
really like the only reason he kind of works in lower elos especially is because people just fold against him and they don't really
Yeah, that's what I
stay
do.
calm. Yeah, yeah, right. Like just stay calm. What can that champ do? He can't do that much. He will Q on you or whatever. That he probably plays with ignite, so he might ignite you, and then what does he do? He probably won't kill you. You just Q him. You E away if you have to. You use your W, whatever. Like, and then you ping for your team, and he's usually stuck in your jungle, right? Like the champ's just not that strong, and also the Nocturne matchup. I mean, it's a matchup you can lose every now and then, but I think have a negative win. Of course, like eight games is not a statistically significant amount of games. Really, it can just happen that you lose some games. But if it's a matchup where you say you struggle, I think it's one where you usually can also just keep him at range and just outscale him. Nocturnal scales is probably one of the worst scaling junglers in the game, in my opinion. So like after two items, you usually beat him. and he often will ult in your team and just die because he's just weak. So yeah, I don't know if you say I don't know if you would say that you're struggling, or this just kind of happened that you lost
Like
some games.
Nocturne, I never felt about like Varric. That I think that is crazy because Varric, I had like it felt for me that I struggled way more.
Hmm.
But I figured out like in every second game against Varric, he tries to kill me at red, and I just
Hmm.
when I know I'm against Varric and he maybe have even ignite or something, I just start red, and then the
You
problem
can also
starts.
just ward against it, you know? Just ward, and then if he walks in there, then you spam ping for your team to move, and they will even move in this elo probably if you see him early enough, you know? So
Yeah,
it's like you can just place a ward. I guess I can show you also, but it's not like in general just against matchups where you can be invaded against like Lee Sin and whatever. Just place the ward and you will get the info early enough, so you can't really be invaded effectively.
yeah,
Mm, I guess. Yeah, this one also the item purchase time. Like your third item is pretty late, honestly. I mean the other ones are also a little bit late. I don't know if it's more due to you not having enough gold or taking bad reset timings. It obviously is probably both. But looking at like your gold earned and whatever, it's fine. Of course, it could be higher. I mean, it's yeah. Well, it's fine, honestly, right? Like the gold earned.
yeah.
But I guess I don't know. Would you say that your reset timings are maybe not super efficient oftentimes, or?
Yeah, I mean, like the reason why I reached to you is because that's the things I want to figure out. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like
mhm.
I feel good to play Echo, and I feel I have nice games, and I love it, and now I want to take it to a level where it's like I know really what I'm do when to do, and I know that takes practice, but I need like a
Yeah.
fundamental build off of it, and that's the reason why I reached to you.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess also one small thing with the wards. I don't know if you feel like you. Yeah, see, you're also some. Actually, the same thing in my last coaching where the guy just didn't really buy control wards. It's just like if you don't have a control word on the map, just get into the habit of buying one. It doesn't
Yeah, that's
really.
it's like I always I always like start with the ward at my opposite side where I clear the first camp, and then
Hmm.
I often just change to sweeper.
Yeah, but control words, of course, you can still buy, right?
I need to
So
do that.
yeah, just
Wait.
it's like it's one of those things. Obviously, it's hard to really quantify how much it will win you games, whatever. But you will just some games will just feel easier passively because you just don't get surprised as much because you have good vision rate.
Yeah.
Like in some games that feel super difficult, it's often because maybe your support is not really warding and whatever. I mean, in this elo, people don't ward very well anyways, but still, like there's differences, right? Like in some games you just have kind of good vision where you know what's going on, and in some games you just can't walk anywhere because you have no vision. But obviously, if you don't buy control boards, you're also part of it.
Yes,
Yeah,
of
and like
course.
bad vision is one thing that League of Graphs is even saying is a problem for you. Let's see at the patterns. I wasn't even looking at that. If you're okay, it's good that you don't surrender a lot. Mm,
I need to
maybe
surrender.
avoid playing on Sundays for claiming. I don't know, but yeah, I mean those stats are
Yeah, because
usually
like
kind of
Saturday I
random.
was like I had a win in the promotion for gold, and then I lost like 6 games, and that's also one thing I need to stop. You know, like
Mm.
to start the game not tilted. I'm not like aggressive, but it's I think the mind just stays in this thing. You know
Yeah.
what
This is also interesting. The win rate for game duration. It's basically what you told me, right? Like the late
I
game,
mean?
you kind of just don't know how to close out
Yeah,
games oftentimes, and it definitely reflects in that graph
yeah.
for sure.
That's what.
Would you say you're like confident in your jungle clearing ability, or should we look at that?
I'm thinking I'm pretty good, but I think you have to. I don't know. Like
Hmm.
hard to me. I
Yeah.
don't know how, you know what I mean. Like
But
it
do you usually just full clear?
oftentimes.
I mean, or like you haven't tried out the Raptors pathing is basically my
No, I
question.
saw it the first time I saw it is in your video, and I never
Mm-hmm.
tried it.
Okay. Well, don't try it now, I guess. But I will also make a video about it. I've been saying that I will make a video about it. I think this week I will definitely make one, so
Yeah, yeah.
people can maybe understand it a bit more. It's not really like super advanced or anything. It's actually basically I don't know if you've heard of the term cheater recall for laners. You know, where they just recall after the third wave and get like a call or whatever. It's basically
Yeah.
the same thing for junglers, where you just get a free Dark Seal, and then you have slightly different
Some
timings,
situations,
but
it would be great.
yeah. So I guess yeah, you can then go and practice really quick, and maybe just show me your clearing abilities. Oops. All right. You also went for blue smite every time, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Sometimes it
think
would
that's
be good
fine.
to go green, right?
Mm, I honestly I'm personally just such a big fan of blue smite. I think it's probably not always the best. There might be some. I think green smite is one you should basically never take. I don't know. I mean, it's the highest win rate smite, but I think it also is kind of impactless, right? You usually get it for the tenacity, but you have enough other tenacity options. You can either go for the runes or the mercs, and I like the movement speed from blue smite so much. I don't know. It's like a little bit of a weird screen right now. Maybe restart
Maybe I
your
have
screen share.
to. Do I have to go like this? Maybe.
Oh yeah, now it's better, I guess.
Yeah, but it's also something like I don't get Discord doesn't get like League of Legends, and I added it to the games, but it doesn't work. I don't know.
Wait, you can't screen share the application, or what do you mean?
Yeah, like you
That's
can when
weird.
you want to choose which game you want to
Hmm.
which screen you want to stream.
It doesn't
Do you
show
see it
leak
now?
for you? Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. It's fine.
Is it lagging?
No, it's good. I mean, it's a little bit laggy, but it's fine. Like, not really, actually. No, it's good.
Should we go forward in time?
Yeah, for sure. You're playing with speakers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should
okay.
I?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I can put the audio down.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but just do it after the clear.
All right. Would you, if you don't have a leash, like smite the red?
No. I think smiting the crux is much better for the timing for them to die, so you can hit them with your Q while walking towards the raptors already. You see, because now they die and you can just Q, and it's kind of nice.
I actually didn't get anyone.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why. Yeah, now you won't be level 3 or something, I think. Or no, I think now you won't be level 4 after full clearing, but I don't know
Usually
why that
that.
happened. Yeah. I mean, you're doing it correctly generally. It's just sometimes they walk weirdly, I guess. Yeah, see, now you're not level 3. Damn, you're missing so much XP from that one crack. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, so obviously make sure to get all of them, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, it's actually so much XP just from that one mini crug. That's why, like, you really need to clear those, right? Like, in general, sometimes people in the later stage of the game, they don't clear the small ones, but they're actually worth the most. So just be aware of that, I guess. Oh, you're actually level 4 still. Oh, wow, okay. I guess you're just not level 3 then. Interesting. I thought you would be like very close. Okay, can you maybe just show me the standard Ekko combos really quick as well? To
Yeah,
see
of
if
course. Like,
just yeah, like this. Would you say you usually do them in game as well?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Like I would say, I don't want to lean out too
Hmm.
much out of the window, but like mechanics, I'm pretty okay. I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah. It looks like that, to be honest, also from the clearing, I would say as well. Even just the spacing on the minions, I would say mechanics are probably not your like main issue. Yeah, I guess you can just go into a live game then.
Alrighty.
I mean, yeah, I would recommend. I think something that will automatically help you is just installing Blitz or whatever. Just
All right.
using. Are you like on a Mac or whatever?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if you can have it there. Then I'm not sure.
I
You
think
should.
there would be option. I would think.
I think I think there's some kind of jungle timers for Mac, but I'm not sure. It's definitely super helpful, right? Like it's just you really need to think about it as a huge amount of brain power that you don't really need to use up yourself, right? It's just the app is telling you where you need to go basically, and you don't even really need to actively think about it, and it helps you plan into the future as well.
It's where you get like the timers on the camps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
It's really useful.
And is master like your peak?
Yeah, my goal this season is Grandmaster, but I think
Would
it's
be nice.
quite difficult, of course. I mean, I'm currently not really playing enough for that, anyways. But
Yeah, I mean, it feels difficult for me to get to gold, so I feel you.
mm.
I think that's way another
Yeah,
thing to go to grandmaster.
yeah. I
So
mean,
my
yeah. What's your
ban
ban?
is Mumu. I don't know what would
Mm.
you
I mean, Amumu, I think, is kind of wasted because you don't see him that often, in my opinion. But I mean, my ban at the moment is Kha'Zix, to be honest. Like ever since he's been buffed, he's been super
ban?
overpowered, and it was already a matchup where I was a little bit struggling this season. I've actually been thinking like that's something I'm gonna try out in my next stream is buying Shadow Flame second in these kind of matchups against Kha'Zix, against like Lee Sin, like these generally difficult matchups where people might build Eclipse and like Vi especially also. I think Shadow Flame could be good. Like the problem with Shadow Flame is that it doesn't have any utility compared to Lichbane or Nashor's, but it has like raw damage, and that might be what you
Mhm.
need.
Mhm.
And obviously, it also helps against shields, like you get the passive there. So I will try it out, and I guess you can also try it out in your games if you want. Just see how it feels. I've played some Shadow Flame second in mid lane, and it's definitely fine. It's raw damage and nothing else, right? So you're definitely missing something. Hacker
Yeah,
matchup
Hecarim is
is.
one of these matchups where I feel like not as comfortable as other matchups, but
Mhm.
I never had like big problems because I think
Yeah,
like once I reach a certain point, it's pretty hard for him to like kill me.
yeah.
And
It
if I
depends on
hit
his
my
build, I
W,
guess.
yeah, yeah.
If he's going
But
full
if I
damage,
hit
he can
my
definitely kill
W,
you.
it works. But let's see.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, I think Hacker matchup used to be a little bit more difficult than it is now when he was going for even tankier builds, but it's still not one of the easier matchups. I think especially because if people don't really respect him and he gets a lot of free kills, like in your team, then it can be rough for sure. Mm, let's see what your top picks. So where do you think you should be pathing this game?
I think like Ezreal Yumi, if he does his E and we reach him, I think I would say we path to bot lane.
Hmm. I would
Because I
say
don't
so
know,
as well in general.
Santi is pretty strong early, I would say, but Garen
Uh,
too. But I don't know.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, if the K'Santi overextends, you can of course gank him. I think you can gank the Veigar as well, especially with the
Yeah,
brawl.
I thought about that.
Um, I mean, bot lane is kind of difficult to gank, but at the same time, you also have pretty decent gank setup. So yeah, it's just gonna be about who really overextends, and I would say in general you should still path bot though. Wait, are you red side or blue side? I didn't really see. You're blue side, right?
I would say. Where do I see this?
I
No.
mean, you can't see it anymore.
Oh, I didn't watch.
Yeah, we will see anyways.
But Ezreal is pretty damn strong in the moment. Like
Mm.
Ezreal last game, as as he hit like 3 items, he does so much damage.
I mean, he is kind of strong, but I mean, especially in your elo and even in higher elos, people can't really play him to the extent he can be played at, right? Like it's such an insane skill ADC, and people in like even in Master, most people are not very good at him. So like champs like Jinx, Zeri, Zaya, they're like the best ADCs at the moment. They're super easy to play and they deal even more damage than Ezreal. Like unless you're really good on Ezreal, then he can be equal, I would say, but I don't even think he can be better. I mean, Ezreal is a fine matchup into Jinx, for example. I think they played that in the LEC yesterday, but only because they obviously can't play the champs, right? And they play them on a level where it's like realistic, I guess. But in this elo, I would never be scared of an Ezreal, to be honest. Like most people in this elo pick Ezreal for his defensive abilities and not so much his offensive abilities. This would actually be quite a good game to do the Raptors path, I guess, to maybe gank early bot. But I don't know if we should try that out now, if that's not what you usually do.
We can, but would you start Q then?
Yeah, you need to start Q, for sure. Okay, so I guess you're starting there then. See, like in this brush next to you, where you're standing, like below you, that's where you should usually place a ward when you're playing against champs that can invade you.
All right, all right.
I mean, Hecarim is not really one that will invade you early, but in general, like it's a very good ward. Like, what's Warwick gonna do? He's just gonna run through the river there, and you will see him super early, so your mid lane has loads of time to move. Even your bot lane probably has time to move.
Yeah.
So just placing that ward, but placing it like you would place it now, right? And then you can recall and get a red sweeper.
Alrighty. So you would just do like Raptors, red
Mm-hmm.
rocks, and then path from behind.
Well, then you usually just look if your bot lane, if you can get something, if it's like
Yeah.
obvious that you can get something. If not, you just recall and get a dark seal.
All right.
Maybe also just tell your team that you solo start, right? Like write to them I solo or something, so they can go to lane. Make sure not to let them reset. No, you should definitely do W, but it's not.
That was like something I had in hands to do like the.
Also skill with control or whatever. Not with the mouse. Use your abilities. Use your abilities, bro. By the way, in general, do you want me to talk you through the gameplay a lot, or just let you play more? Okay, you're definitely pretty low now. I think you should just recall here. I mean,
Right.
you know, also.
Yeah, I fucked up with the W.
Yeah, but it's fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Would you buy control ward now?
No. And also by the sweeper, though, by the sweeper. No, I never buy. I mean, usually you can't really buy the control board anyways, but.
But would you path up now or down?
You definitely, what you need to do here is just look top and see if you can run there right away. You might be able to run there right away. I mean, he's still pretty healthy, but if you ping there to go there now, he might even go for a fight. And the way he's there, if he walks up a little bit more, you can definitely gank him, and maybe you can run behind him now. Even well, you can just go on him. Yeah, he's super worked up. And it's fine, I guess. And now you need to clear. You really need to clear. I mean, he's kind of low.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. But in general, you're just like he's already level 4, right? You're still three
Yeah,
camps away from being level 4, so I mean, maybe you could have killed him there, but still risky. Okay, one thing I'm noticing right away is like you really need to look at your lanes way more. You're just not really, you don't really know what's going on in your game. For example, maybe look top ready. Like the whole time I'm wondering what's the Cassandra's HP. If he's low, then you can even gank him. Especially, right, like you can see on the minimap the whole time that he's kind of overextended, so then you definitely need to look there.
We should just reset now.
Yeah, there's not really anything you can get in here a little bit low. But that was fine, that obviously it helped your lane a little bit. It's
Yeah,
kind of
true.
hard to get a kill there if they're not super overextended, but this is okay.
Should I go for?
No, I think last time went, especially because you would have to go in that here. Yeah, I think you should go towards top side now. And like with the jungle timers, you would obviously see even before then, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
even have to think about it, but of course it's not that difficult, right? You know that you cleared there first, so it will respawn first as well, but you just have the exact timings. Grim spot.
Hmm.
I think you can still gank top here from lane, maybe even. You need to look top a bit more. No, but the plant should be up. You can maybe take the plant. Oh well. Hmm. Why is he so tanky? Doesn't even have an aura. Nice. Definitely look mid here. Well, I mean, he's full HP. I think you should just get level 6 really quick. Maybe you need to help, I guess. Oh. Hmm.
Hmm. Should I do wolves and then path down or?
Yeah. Just do wolves, clear your bot side. It's going fine. I mean, you're quite enabled and you have a lot of jungle to clear. Are the raptors up? I can't. Yeah, they are right. Can't really see on the minimap.
Hmm.
Definitely smite the red buff here. You have 2 stacks. I need to look bot.
Is it? Would you like let them go and go straight?
Yeah, I think if you had reacted a little bit faster, maybe I could have helped there. Maybe you may fucked up. I think you got him. Oh. Nice.
Shrug. No.
Definitely tried to not get into the crab, of course, there, so the Hecarim doesn't really know if you're doing it, but it's fine. Your team is, of course, helping you, just generally. No reason to give him that info.
Would you like try to path mid now?
You could probably just kill him there, especially because the Alistair is also coming. Yeah, just yeah, you're not. I mean, you're super strong now. I think you should just recall, or well, yeah, just recall. I mean, your Alistair kind of griefed.
So I saw in your videos you go always like hex tech first,
Always.
and in this game into.
I think you can go Sorks.
All right.
The only real CC is the Veigar cage, which obviously is usually your choice if you walk into that or not. I mean, also Hecarim ult, but yeah, you don't really need to build against that most of the time.
All right. Garen does a good job up there. Good.
I mean, you saw the Cassandra warding, so I guess just jungling is the right call here. You could look to take the Herald.
Right.
Not right now. I think clear your jungle first because your top lane is resetting, your mid lane is just coming there. So, and obviously you also, in general, you should, if you can, then you should always clear your jungle before going for objectives. Sometimes you might be forced to go there because the enemies are contesting it, but right now they're not contesting it, so there's no reason to not just clear your jungle first.
Maybe look for a top gank now.
Yeah, that's obviously optimal, right? If you can kill top before, but you know that it's warded, so you just need to go there fast, I guess. Also, I would sweeper. I mean, he sees you. Oh wait. He might have warded deep because he's still running away, right? Yeah, just do it. Just do it. The Hecarim spot. You don't need help. Just do it alone. The eyes open so much, you can do it so fast. And also you get more gold if you do it alone. I mean, it's fine if he helps you, but just make sure to last hit it so you get the 200 gold.
Again.
I'd even look to maybe place it mid right away here when the LB is back. Oh, there's vision in the brush. You should, yeah, I think you should place it now because it's almost 14 minutes. Just shove in the wave with your LB and then... But this game's definitely in your hands. Who are you still missing from the treasure hunter stacks? Can
Uh,
you? Oh, you have all of them. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think you should go for the crab.
all right. The
Maybe
red.
see if you can. Well, I mean, if the enemy bot shows and you can maybe dive them, then well, it's only the Ezreal red. The Yumi left him anyways, so maybe you can just dive him here, get the bot tower. Probably. Oh wait, they TP bot someone. Uh,
I thought about like just doing it.
yeah, I mean, there were some mistakes there in that fight. I think you could have killed the Kassanti right away, but obviously it turned out fine. I
Didn't
think
I
you.
just lose there?
Yeah, we'll talk about it afterwards.
All right, all right.
Game review.
I fucked up the Q there. Would you start it like Hekka is dead?
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, like nowadays, basically you can do Drake with every jungle seed. Like it's dying at a quick enough pace, and you're not really dropping low, so it's completely fine. Unless it's contested, you can always solo it.
And after, would you go like clear red, or would you just go back, buy items, and then path from top?
Mm,
Or is it like
I
I would
think
say?
actually, yeah, going back here is better, I would say, because then you have the buffs for a longer time to play. And the only time I would not back here is for completing items, right? But I think now you can go base, buy Magi's, buy like some components for Nashers, and it's pretty solid base. Yeah, I think the best component is the Fiendish Codex. So like Magi's and Fiendish Codex, a very solid buy here. Also control ward. And just
Start from top.
yeah, what else? Yeah, I guess when does your blue spawn? Will it spawn? I mean, in the next minute, but
Yeah.
if you press tab, you can also see it. If you press tab, like on the top, yeah, 19
Yeah.
seconds. Okay. Yeah, this, for example, is a situation where you might even want to start clearing from the wolves because the crab is also coming up. I
All
guess you
right.
should go to the crab now, like after clearing the grump. You'll have 11 as well, which is good. Yeah, you can actually kill him, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he even uses his abilities. I think maybe even grouping up with your team now is the right call instead of clearing.
Yeah, that's really what I meant. Like with this
Mm-hmm.
tunnel, you know what I mean? I wasn't clearing
Yeah.
flavor. That's the biggest issue for me that I feel. You know what I mean? That I
Yeah,
can see on my own.
it's definitely an issue. I mean, the thing is, you just gotta think about it this way. Of course, I feel like in this game, your team probably doesn't even need you, but if it would be slightly more even, then. And you see your team going for pushes, which is obviously fine, right? It's like good to open up the map and whatever. Then you should usually help them, and your jungle will still be there to take, right? Like afterwards. And you're not really looking to base or anything at the moment, so it doesn't really matter if you get the gold now or a little bit later.
So I'm gonna go clear his jungle, right?
I think you should actually go push bot here. I don't know, like nobody in your team is pushing bot. Like, okay, I mean, definitely need to be a little bit careful here.
Would you like push one mid wave or go?
Yeah, I guess you can push the mid wave and then clear your jungle. Like in the mid game, I mean, in the early game, you shouldn't really take the farm from your laners, but I think in the mid game, especially if your laners are dead, you can often just push the wave so you put some pressure on the map. I think, yeah, definitely take your bot side jungle. How much gold do you need? Can you already buy Nashers? Whoops. No, see, you still need some gold anyways, so I'll just take that really quick. I think the crab is also up. Should have taken that before, of course. But it might have been cleared, I don't know. I think you should just base now. Get the Nashers. Definitely very good that you have Futures Market here, of course. Just for all the people that don't play Futures Market. I mean, you always play it right because you have First Strike, but some
So
people
now
like playing without it.
You would go for Drake now, right? Instead of
Yeah,
clean.
yeah. If it would come up like in 30 seconds or whatever from now, then you could clear your jungle, but I think now, especially because the enemies are looking to kind of contest it, I would say, definitely just be there. I think you can probably just Nash and end or something. I mean the Jhin. I mean first strike, of course, but I don't know if you have DPS without the Jhin. But they also, I mean, they can't really contest. I guess just get the top inhib, maybe get mid inhib, and then look for Nash. You also take the Crocs here.
My God.
I mean, yeah, you were all kind of slow with that. I feel like you could have gotten some objectives there, but I think if you would have taken those small Crocs there, you would have been level 14. Yeah, I think now doing Nash is just a huge flip because they're all there and they're all up. It's just super unnecessary because you're so ahead. But the Hecarim is inting, just kill him.
Would you go like bot now or
I
try
mean,
Baron?
just push. You can basically just end, I guess. Like, I don't know. Just get the inhibs and then do Nash if you can't end. But you could probably even end if your team wants to. And the Hecarim is up again, but you can definitely get the tower at least. Maybe the inhib if your team's moving. I don't know what the Garen was doing there. Well, you should probably help your team top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wait there a little.
Yeah. It's
Would you
fine.
like sell?
Yeah, for sure. No, don't sell that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that
didn't
was
want to do that. Yeah, for sure. So for like, need this large route.
So did
Yeah,
you like the last play I did you saw like a point where oh now I had to leave? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I
for sure.
were there. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the vision of oh now it's too late. I have to
Yeah, yeah,
go.
we will talk about it afterwards. There were like much better ways to play that, and also to like just group up with your team. I think in general, for example, this is like one of those things. It's like a silver game, but you could have ended 100% at this point with how ahead you are. They were like you were just super, like not just you personally, but the whole team is just super indecisive in pushing towers when you have timings to do it and whatever, and just pushing in
Like go mid
waves. Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. Just at this point, don't focus too much on farming jungle anymore. I mean, do it when you have downtime, but when your team is fighting or whatever, just be there and fight with them, especially when you're this strong. I mean, I feel like without the Jin, you shouldn't really look to fight too much. Also because it's a 4v5. I mean, now would be a time to just see if the jungle of him is up, take that, and then look to do Nash uh, when the Jin is up again. Now you're kind of splitting up for no reason. Oh, okay. The Garen's just one-shotting the Hecarim. Yeah, I guess just ping for Nash now, do it really quick, and then end. Legend wants to... they're fighting? They're fighting. Hmm. I think you can end though, right? Well, the Jin just wasn't even there. Garen's gonna end though, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty big stump, but there's still quite a lot of mistakes we can talk about, which I think is good overall. Of course.
alrighty.
Just log into my account really quick. Right. Oh, you even had a decent amount of damage. Yeah, I mean, you didn't play bad or anything, but still there were obviously mistakes. Mm.
Alright.
One thing I can say already also is I feel like one thing you never did was placing your W out of vision. That's something you definitely need to start doing. There were so many situations where you just randomly walked into the enemy's vision before placing it for absolutely no reason. Or like even in the first game, but we will see that in a second. I will show you. Let me share my screen. Oops. Okay. So yeah, first of all, I said, right, I told you this is a good game to do the path. I think the reason for that is because in the early game, this lane is a little bit more gankable than when they have all their abilities. I mean, I think Ezreal has his E, right, even when you're here, but still, like, if they're overextended, it should be, you should be able to kill them. So I think just looking for that with this pathing is quite good. But in general, I told you, right, most of the time you will just clear these camps and then recall, get the Dark Seal, and go topside. As I said, also, right, this ward here, placing it here, you can see my mouse, right?
No, I don't see your
No?
screen.
Wait, what? Oh, you need to go in the thing, I'm streaming it. You need to go in Discord and click on it
Yeah.
again.
Sorry.
Yeah, that happens every time, it's so confusing with Discord, I don't know. Whoops. Yeah, so like placing this ward here, super good because champions like Lee Sin or whatever, they always have to walk through here to invade you, so you will just see it. Or if they late invade, especially, right, you will just see it and your team has time to react. It's a very important ward. Right, I told you it plays starting with Q. you need to start clear. Like, how are you gonna clear this AoE camp with W?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
There's no way. Of course, let me just see. Do you hit all the small ones? Of course, you want to hit all the small ones if you can. So, yeah, you missed one of them. It's fine. I also missed one of them usually. Of course, you drag them down a little bit too far, so they reset. But it's not a huge deal. I mean, you usually don't do this pathing. You will get better at it, of course. It's not very difficult. It's just you weren't used to it, I guess. See, definitely a skill W here. Like, W just has so much more value, especially because of the passive, right? You're aware of it. You deal more damage when they're below 30%. So that's why W is also the start, usually when you full clear. It just has the most value for jungle clearing. And now you're obviously much lower than you should be. Like, usually you're around half HP, or even higher than half HP. And see, like, what you did, like, the whole time while I was watching you, you weren't really looking at bot, and you definitely need to do that, right? In general, when you're on a side of the map where you can gank, right, when you're in the vicinity, just look at the lanes while you're clearing. There's no reason for you to look at the camps, especially when your abilities are on cooldown. You can't really do anything except for auto attack anyway, so you have time to look at the lanes and just see what's happening. And that was something you were definitely missing here. I mean, you started doing it more after I told you in game, right? But in the beginning, we weren't really looking at the lanes at all. Of course, here your conclusion should be that you can't gank. They're full HP. They're quite far back. So the only scenario where you would go here is when they're like above this line, right? Like when they're here or something, like really, really far pushed up, and you maybe have something like a Nautilus or whatever that can CC them well. I mean, Jhin has really good gank setup with his W, you know, because you can W in their path, then they're slowed and they get the Jhin stack, so he can CC them in your W, which I like playing with Jhin a lot for that reason. And Ekko, wow, that really sucks. Let me restart. We can see the items. Sorry for that. I don't know why that sometimes happens. Oops. It's a little bit annoying. Yeah, like Jhin has very solid gank setup. I mean, Alistar as well, but not so much against Ezreal, of course, because you can just E away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Ezreal is, of course, a little bit harder to gank in general than a lot of ADCs, but that's why I think a pathing like this can be kind of good in the early game, where he might not expect it and he might just overextend too hard. Okay. So now I told you also, right, you weren't really looking. Like, now is, what are you gonna do except for look at the lanes now? You have nothing else to do, absolutely nothing. Just look at the lanes. Of course, the K'Sante is quite healthier, but Garen is playing Ignite, and I think if the lanes are even, and they maybe, like, oftentimes you will see that the top lanes might have even traded a bit more, they might be around half HP or whatever, then it's a really good time to just gank. And what you can do here also is, of course, walking from behind, I told you. With the way this lane stayed, like, you weren't even, when you were here, you weren't really looking at the lane, right? You were looking at yourself, but you still need to be looking at the lane. Then you would have seen that this guy is moving up quite a lot, so see, you do this, like, small step to the right here. It just, obviously I told you, like, go, 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 and that's why you probably stop, but there's no reason for you to walk in behind when he's up here.
Yeah.
But see, this is, now you need to place your W. It has this range, right? You can place it now, and he won't see it as well. That's the big thing. He won't see you casting the W, and it's so much harder for him to react. So place your W here, like in his path between him and the tower. Always like between him and the tower, like the enemy and the tower. And I think you might have even killed him here. Like,
No,
especially with the way he's moving, you might have killed him. Let's see. Obviously he has flash, so it's kind of difficult, but there's no reason to place the W now. Of course, it's fine that you place it. The way you place it here is definitely good. It kind of forces him to flash. But yeah, also I think holding your E here would be correct, you know? Because you know he has flash. That's like one of the things playing around enemies' abilities. Flash is also an ability. You know that he has flash, and you're already in melee range. There's no real reason for you to E here. So you could wait, like, you could Q him, wait for him to flash, and then maybe follow up. You probably don't kill him, the Hecarim is also there. But still, just in the future, like, there are some situations where you should just hold your E.
Right.
Here the Garen kind of inted. Yeah, I think actually you probably could have killed the Hecarim here. You also saw him, right? You could have placed the W. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my bad. I told you to not go for it. Your LB, if she has like ice, then she might even move here.
Yeah.
So maybe if you like in this situation where I would just spam ping like all in, right? Like go, and then the mid lane might move. So yeah, placing the W, you probably can actually kill him. He's quite low, even though your level below, of course. But like I think placing the W here would have been bad because he was just running too fast. But
Yeah.
okay, I mean he's kind of full HP now. Maybe you couldn't have killed him actually.
Maybe the good way you said it to me now.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you couldn't have even killed him because he heals so much of the crap. It's kind of hard to know, to be honest. Haven't played against Hecarim too much, but you're also a little bit stronger with the Dark Seal, of course, than him, right? Because he has no items. He gets double crab here. It's not a huge deal. The first crab is not worth that much, right? It's only worth 20% of the XP and gold than the other one, or no, like the XP than the other ones. So if you have to give double crab on the first clear, sometimes it's just not a huge deal. Some people they think it's like the end of the world, but it's really not. Like, it used to be the end of the world, kind of. It was like a big deal, but now it's not so much anymore. I think right now you're just literally wasting time for no reason. You could have already started clearing your camps. And now when you're around this area, of course, you need to look mid as well, right? Like you would see that the Veigar is full HP, so you can't really gank him. But I think in the game, when I upload this video, you will also see it right in your gameplay. You will see that you're not really looking at the lanes a lot in the early. That's definitely something that will help you a lot, I'm sure. It's like super important, of course, to just know what's going on. Oh yeah, here you just get like the HP or the sums or something, I think. But again, you could have placed the W earlier here. I mean, it's Ezreal, he would just E out of it still, but yeah, you can just place the W earlier. Like when you're here, right? Like when you're on the line of the brush, I guess. Or even now, like I personally would probably place it here now. I know it will just get his E, but still. Or like at least place it now.
Because I tried to, and when he ease now, he would. Yeah, you know what I mean. If he will like ease a little bit right.
Yeah, but then he's just a moron, right? Like there's no reason why he would ever get stunned by your W there. It's just you will never really get him there. But it's fine that you did that because now he's half HP, so it definitely helped your lane. It didn't help you, but you still had a decent base. You could buy the blasting one. You could buy control ward. I'm pretty sure. Oh, you actually didn't do it. I think this on your second base you should usually buy a control ward. I mean, there is reasons to not buy control wards, just to be like greedy and have faster items. But where I would usually place it is here. The first one I usually always place here. On the other side, of course, here. It just lights up this whole area. It makes it so your laner, like your mid lane, can play to this side always, basically, right? It's basically impossible to get ganked from that side. So it just really helps your laners out so much, in my opinion. Makes them die less. Here I wanted to say, like you were not really looking top. I think you saw that the K'Sante was kicking him in or whatever. But while coming out of base here, what you can already do is like look for lane gank. Like be aware that you can lane gank. I think lane ganking here is definitely the right thing. When the wave set is like this, where your laner is kind of pushing, but you see that the lane, like the wave will come in a bit. See, like imagine if you're in this brush in a second here, and they're fighting, they're kind of low. You can definitely get something there, right? Even with your Garen being this slow. I mean, I think you kill him even. I told you, right? You can gank top here. It doesn't matter that the Garen is so low. First of all, he has his passive, he heals up quite a lot, and he still has Ignite, he still has ult, so he might die for it, but yeah. And see here also, always take the plant if it's available. It just, see, this is the ward he plays, around this ward usually people place. It gives vision until here, so if you walk through the river, you're seen for, like, in the early game, probably 1, 2, 3 seconds. If you use the plant, you're just boosted up until here. Even though it's warded, he just simply doesn't have the time to run away, unless he has flash. So, yeah, always take the plants in these kind of situations if they're available. And he doesn't even react for some reason, but... yeah, so... and again, placing the W here, just out of vision. it doesn't make a huge difference if you get him anyways, but still, just like when you're here, place the W around here, or
Alright.
just behind him, or at least now, right? Like at least now, place it somewhere here. But you actually like actively walk into his vision, and then place it for no reason, and obviously you don't proc it and nothing. He actually tanks so much, and then he decides to int. I guess he thought he could get the Garen. He was just out there if he doesn't troll, but of course if you hit your W, then he's dead. But yeah, of course, like these kind of mistakes, they happen all the time in your Ela, I'm sure, right? Like, or I know that they happen all the time, and you obviously you punished quite a lot of them, which is good. But just be aware that these are like huge mistakes, and you definitely need to punish them. And the more you punish them, of course, the easier the games will be for you. Yeah, here I think I wouldn't have taken the wave personally because the LeBlanc is kind of close to mid, and of course it's like in the early game. I think in the early game you get less XP from minions, and of course you're taking it away from your laners, so some people will definitely get mad for that. Let's see if you could have placed your W better here. I mean, the Veigar was kind of between you, and the Hecarim was also a little bit low, so maybe you could have. Did you kill him here? I don't remember.
I don't think so. No, they. I think LeBlanc died.
What you definitely should have done here is proc your W, right? You're like 1 centimeter next to it. There's no reason not to proc it and get the shield.
Yeah.
Like it's like you run away from it. Yeah, I mean you can't get him here. He's just too healthy. Wait, does she get him? Oh yeah, she gets him. So that's fine. Yeah, the way, like generally the way you play these fights is completely fine. We'll probably play them pretty much the same. Like you're using your abilities and everything. That's completely fine. The fact that LeBlanc died here is just what happens, right? It's the Yumi is also there. That's completely okay. It was overall. I mean, it was even. It wasn't really positive. It was even, but that's of course okay for you. How much gold do you have here? I think you're still missing a little bit for. Yeah, see, like you were just not looking bot at all while clearing here. And sometimes you might even be able to tell from the way Ezreal could be moving here that, see, like the way that he's moving up here is a little bit suspect, right? Like you can tell, you can maybe think, oh, maybe he's getting ganked, and then you have a little bit faster reaction times, and also, yeah, like see, you're still not moving and they're fighting. If I think you could have. Let's see when we see them. Now we see them. If you start moving now, you can definitely help them, right? Like. You for sure could have, and then the way I would come to help you is just run here, place a W somewhere around here, and probably get something. Yeah, you're just
that was
not helping. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
But these are the kind of situations you probably also meant, right, where you're not sure if you should clear or. But definitely, if you can help, then always help, of course, right? Like, if something is lost already, then for sure don't commit there, but if you can help, then always try to help. Or if you feel... And maybe sometimes you have the wrong judgment and you think, like, I can help, but obviously that's something you will just learn from. But it's good that you still get them, of course, they overextend. Maybe they even felt safe, they thought you might be topside or whatever because you didn't help before. Who knows, but...
Don't hit the...
Yeah, I told you right here, don't get pushed in there, just... stand here, whatever, you will get pushed against the wall.
I pretty obvious, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he can't do anything anyways, he's not there, but just there's still no reason for them to really know. Here, of course, right, like at this point you have a lot of gold, so generally you would want to reset, but the way they're inting here, obviously it's the right thing to just kill them.
Yeah.
So, like, the way, and also the Alistair was moving in, he was half HP, so... Yeah, and now, like... Yeah, the W you place, I think I would have placed the same one. If you're like confident, you can also just E over this wall here.
Yeah, I tried it. I think I tried it. That's the reason I flashed after. I wasn't standing near enough. I think, mate. I'm not sure.
Did you? No, you didn't. Like what I mean, you could have E'd over here, and then you maybe didn't have to flash. I'm not sure, but you didn't even try it here.
Okay.
But I think without Rocket Belt, it's maybe a little bit too far, anyways. could
Alright.
be. So I think flashing in here for the kill is probably worth, yeah. I mean, that's good. I would say,
I
of
think
course, you didn't get the kill, but it just for like his death, it's obviously fine. And then you get him as well. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah. So like this is pretty good. I mean, the Alistair wants to go in there with 1 HP. I think if anything, you should start tanking here because you still have ult. I don't know. This Alistair was just kind of trolling with
like
that.
200 HP.
Yeah. That was just not very good by him. But whatever, right? You have huge amounts of gold here. Really good buy. Yeah, like boots and rocket belt completed and like 9 dark seal stacks at 11 minutes is basically game 1 most of the time.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, it should be. I
You
mean,
know what to hand, you know what I mean, like how to treat
yeah.
it. That's the big thing I have.
Yeah, just play with full confidence if you're that fat, right? Like, just
Yeah.
at that point you should be aware of the fact that you win basically every fight. Of course, like for example, I think Kesant is a champ probably can't full on 1v1. He's a little bit tanky. I mean, if you sidestep all of his stuff, you maybe can't even 1v1 him, but still, right? Like, obviously, some champs you might not be able to full on 1v1, but all the squishies in the game, they're super vulnerable to you. So, yeah, just basically, the shutdown is usually telling you how far ahead you are, right? So, it's also telling you how much stronger you are than the enemies and how much you can allow yourself. Like, what kind of place you can go for. It's really like a pretty good indicator by Riot already. You don't even need to think yourself. Yeah, here I told you, right, like, definitely always try to place the Herald before 14 minutes, and if you go clear your jungle now or whatever, it might be too close, right? It could be awkward. So, just getting those platings here, getting that extra bit of gold. I think Eing in here for the W is a little bit risky because of the Hecrims coming in from behind now, then you're a little bit fucked, but
I think I tried to get
not a huge deal. Yeah, I mean, generally the W is good. The fact that you do it for zoning or whatever, very good, definitely. But I don't think you need to proc it here, right? Just, if he stays in it, then you proc it, of course, like if he's trolling. But most of the time they will, of course, walk out of it. So just, there's no need to proc it. You don't really get anything out of it, and you're even risking your life a little bit, especially if you use E for it. Let's see. I think now comes the fight where the Kesanta TP spot here in a second, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that was a little bit awkward, the way you played it also. Yeah, we'll see in a second. Yeah, but generally if the Kesanta, like the Kesanta TP is of course completely random, right? Like nobody would ever do that in a real game. Just randomly TPing Bocce, I don't know what he's hoping for. Like, he thinks that they're just gonna kill them, or what? Like, if he was super strong for some reason, then they would just walk away, of course. So this was...
And Yumi is on Hecarim.
Yeah, it is just super grief. And... But of course, like, in general, what your game plan would be here is just shove in the wave and then dive the Ezreal. That's what I basically told you, right? Like, there's nothing the Ezreal can do. He's just dead and he's completely out of game at that point. So yeah, no, but let's see how this played out. Like, you reacted a little bit slow, I told you, right? I don't know if you didn't see it yourself, but... Yeah, see, again, like, I mean, this W is definitely too far back with the way this fight is going. And also, the way you're playing against Kesanta, you see, like, you're not really being aware of his abilities, of his ability to punch you through the wall. Right, I can't fault you to that, I think I also don't play around that very well all the time, but... If you would just stand in a way here where he can't just kick you through the wall, then this whole fight turns out very differently, and the Kessanti also just isn't able to get out. Right, and one thing you do here as well is just, I think you use your rocket belt when he kicks you over, and you would have really liked having that rocket belt. Like, what I would have done here is just Q him and then ult back, probably. Or Q him and just run out on top, let's depending on what your plan here is. But see, yeah, like... Yeah, I mean, he flashed your auto attack, but if you had rocket belt, I think you could have just finished him off here. So that's definitely, like, don't treat your rocket belt as a small cooldown. I mean, you didn't really do that a lot this game, but in general, if you feel like you use your rocket belt very easily, don't do that. It's a very... It's almost as much as your ult. I mean, not really, it's like half of your ult cooldown, but that's also what you should treat it as, right? You should treat it as half of your ult cooldown. And in the late game, I think it's even higher than... Yeah, it's even higher cooldown than your ult in the late game, so it's definitely valuable. Yeah, I think you could have placed the W even a little bit further behind him.
Yeah,
Maybe then you would have killed him or he flashed no matter what, right?
yeah. At least got his flash. I
Yeah.
think.
See, I think your W range is up until like here.
All right.
I mean, you almost placed it there. Yeah, I don't know if it could have gone much further, to be honest. Yeah, you said right. That's one reason why I lock my screen so much, right? In this situation, if you had your screen locked onto you, you hit that Q, right? It was like on the corner. It was like this, and of course you couldn't really Q in that direction then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Ekko is a champ where you can often lock the screen onto you because your abilities are quite short range anyways. Of course, it's good to not lock it all the time so you have some vision, but like comparatively to like mages and whatever, I think on mages, for example, you don't want your screen locked oftentimes, or on Ezreal is also a champ. I mean, he's basically a mage. Right, like these are champs where you don't want your screen locked all the time, but Ekko is a melee champ with close range abilities. The biggest reason to unlock the screen oftentimes is just to place like a long range W, or maybe see your ult, like where your ult is walking and whatever. Yeah, here, as I said, right, like don't clear your jungle here. You're so much stronger if you get more items. Like you will clear so much faster. And of course, you also want the buffs to play, right? Like you don't want to get the buff and then go base with the buff. Generally, you want to play with the buff, like play against the enemies. So yeah, going base here is definitely like this is a very high efficiency recall, very good. Yeah, as I said, right, you could have maybe just cleared from wolves, then top. But I think that was only something I said because I didn't know exactly when the crab would spawn.
Yeah.
Actually, you can't even see it with Blitz anymore. They kind of removed that for some reason, but yeah, I think definitely always go for the crab first if you can. You know, just think of it as contested area, right? The Hecarim was moving towards it. If you didn't run to it right away, he would have gotten it, so that's definitely good. Yeah, the way you played this here, again, like, place your W now. Place it, like, here or whatever. And what you do is, see, you walk into his vision, you don't even... See, like, and now you don't stun him again. You could have gotten so many more stuns this game, really.
Yeah.
I think, of course, you still kill him because you're just so far ahead, but still.
Yeah.
If the game was a bit closer, then these W stuns might matter. Like, it's such a long stun as well, right? And you can hit them so easily in these kind of situations where you can place them out of vision. And especially because the Cassandra in that situation, he already used his spell where he gets unstoppable, so he can't even block it. So, like, how long is it? 2.25 seconds? That's, like, one of the longest CC spells in the game.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. How long is Morgana?
I think Morgana is, like, 3 seconds on max, or 3 or 2.5 on max Q, but still, right, like, it's... The area, of course, is super huge as well. I mean, it's kind of easy to dodge most of the time, but still. Yeah, here I told you, of course, group up with your team. Actually, I think going bot here would have probably been even better. Right, like, you're not really able to push this tower that well.
And they don't really need me.
Yeah, and you're not really helping here anyways, so... Yeah, just getting the bot here would have definitely been better. I wasn't really looking at the wave that well, but... In general, of course... Just, like, you need 2 waves in general to push, because that forces them to go away. Right, like, that forces them to split up. Now they're all able to just be here, so you can't really... you can't really push that well. I think here you should also be with your team on this side, right? Just go over there on the Veigar. Could have definitely gotten that kill. Yeah, here I think the Rockabella, for example, is really wasted. I know you still had your second E, right? You wanted to get into range, I think. But still, it's like... Don't use the rocket belt so easily. But yeah, you should know that your E is gonna run out after you step back like that. So definitely a bit of a wasted rocket belt. And now it's gonna make it a little bit harder for you to help your team if something would happen here. But of course, your 10k gold ahead. So, yeah, I think the way you played this fight was fine. Let's see again. Of course, that Q went nowhere, but... I think, I mean, you smite the blue here at like 70 HP, just smite it at 1.2k, if any. I mean, or just don't smite it at all, right? I think one thing you also never did was using the smite in combat, like on enemies. Like here that could have mattered, you know, just smiting enemies here would have definitely been better. I think I could have stayed on the Ezreal here. He didn't have E. And here, yeah, you could have smited him. You had smite up again. So... Also doing the here the EQ combo which you showed me you can't do, right? But here it would have definitely helped you as well.
Yeah.
If you engage on enemy with the EQ combo, because then you can proc your passive right away. I mean, he might have flashed it, but still, yeah, there's no reason to not chase him here. You definitely get him. You just smite him, auto attack him, and he's probably dead. Or like 2 more auto attacks, something like that. Yeah, here you asked me if you should push the wave. Of course, it's even better if you just push it right away without thinking about it. Just push. Your Garen is doing the Herald. Also, there's a good situation where you can definitely check if this jungle is up, which I think it is. Because you know the Hecarim is dead, and then he... Like, the thing is you want to, of course, make sure that the Hecarim also has no way to get back into the game, right? And that's by taking his jungle. If you just take his jungle in situations like this, he will never get back into the game. Because he can never invade you, and he has no jungle to farm himself, and his laners will take his, like, their own camps. Here, of course, always take the crab first. Or, like, you just don't take it even though it's up the whole time. Just take the crab and then go into your jungle. As I said, right? Crabs just have higher priority. Like, enemy jungle has the highest priority if you can take it, then crab. It's very easy, right? It's just... enemy, you just think it's... This is like red, this is... The river is yellow, and your jungle is green, I guess. You could imagine it like that. So, like, red territory is the one where you should take it if you can. Also, one thing, I think you definitely didn't press tab a lot during the game, now that I see these stats, right? I didn't know, I knew that the Jhin was super fat, because he got a lot of kills, but I actually didn't know he was this fat. Just because I feel like you didn't press W very much in the fight, or like in general. I think that's definitely something you should also do, just to have the information, like what's happening in the game. Yeah, now that I notice it, right, like you need to know which items these people are building, for example, that the Hecarim is building Eclipse, whatever. I think if you watch your gameplay back, you will notice that as well. You basically never press W. That's definitely valuable. Also for shutdowns, right? Just seeing who has a shutdown, who you should maybe focus in fights and whatever. Super valuable information for Ekko. Let's see. Yeah, here. Okay, I mean you fucked up going over there, but just right, like, there's no reason to even walk up until here. Just if you see enemy camps and in this stage of the game, just take it always, right away. Yeah, of course, especially because it just takes you like 3 seconds. And then again, like if you clear these two, I think you're level 14. Getting levels makes a huge difference. So, like, you definitely never undervalue levels. If you can get a level up, look at your XP bar constantly in the jungle. See if you're like one camp away. So always try to get level ups if you can before fights, especially. Here you were like super indecisive and you're just walking around, right? Like you have E up the whole time. Just kill the Hecarim. I think you were kind of scared of him, but I remember I said you can just kill him, he's trolling. Because that's just what he's doing, right? He's even without the Yumi. He's just going into 4 people. So, yeah, just kill him right away. I think here you could even just go back to doing Nash, honestly, instead of chasing them. They can't really contest, but of course, it in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter at all, because you just kill them. Here I think I would have also smited him, to be honest, just to slow him, but again, it just doesn't matter. Yeah, here is where you died, right? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think what I would have done is just, like, ult now or whatever, and then run away, because you know that you're not gonna kill him, especially after the Yumi's in here. And also, that flash was, of course, pretty bad.
Yeah, completely.
yeah, so, like, if you need to... I think I would even ult now, maybe, proc the passive with that, and then run away. Or, like, run to your team. They can't really chase you, you know, but... Just staying in there is definitely a mistake. You should know that you don't win, even though he's, of course, he doesn't have good stats or anything. It's just the champ. You will not win, especially not if he has a Yumi with him. Yeah, and that flash, of course, you know that it's not good. I think after this, there wasn't really much happening, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, honestly, here, when the Jhin is dead, I think actually now is the time to jungle. Right, like, I kind of told you here to go fight with your team, because I it's difficult, you know. In general, of course, your team shouldn't look for a fight here, but they are silver players. They just want to fight or whatever. They don't think that much oftentimes. But if they sometimes go for fights and you're this ahead, you can still win, right? Even bad fights or like technically bad fights, you can still win. So just grouping up with your team might be the right thing to do. So like for example, in some situations, I'm sure you've had games where people just they would just fight like 2v4 here and then die and make the game super difficult for no reason. But generally, the right thing to do, because your Jhin is dead and he's like one of your strongest members, is just to farm, right? Like your whole jungle is up. You're also kind of close to Rabadon's. I mean, not really super close, but you only need one more base for it, so you definitely should try to get the gold for it. So yeah, I guess like what you're doing now is basically nothing, right? You're just clearing the waves. You're not getting any objectives. All you're really doing is waiting for the Jhin to come up again, because you can't really win the fight safely without him. I mean, you can maybe, but it's just so much easier with him. Of course, the Garen just goes over there and one-shots the Hecarim. So now you should just go to the Nash right away. Like ping your team to Nash, right? You did that. Of course, they went in. And Sante yeets you over the wall. I don't know if you should have maybe ulted earlier. Again, it's just like you just need the awareness here that you're not gonna win that extended fight against Sante and Yumi.
Try to like burst him because he like just builds one MR item.
Yeah, just try to get over the wall, honestly, here, right? Like after he's really onto you. Like now, especially when you're exhausted, or like what I would do, just run here, like run to your team, right? So if he chases you, then your team can help you, and if not, then well, you're not gonna die. But just staying in here, right? Like Q and then run away in this direction.
Yeah.
There's really no reason to die here. Of course, your team just ends. Yeah, it was a stomp, of course, but still, there were some. I mean, especially in the late game, you died twice, so there were like obvious mistakes, but still, there were like something. Especially like what you really need to work on is looking at the lanes, of course. I mean, you did that more after I told you. Even in game, you adapted quickly, but generally, that's definitely something you need to do 100%. You need the info. Then, like pressing tab is something I just noticed. Right, you really didn't seem to do a lot. And then like the biggest thing that should be easy to fix, also the W, like placing the W out of vision. I think in this game, honestly, like there weren't many situations where I would have been like, yeah, you should really go farm now. Like you usually went for farming in the right. Your farm numbers are quite low still. I don't know. Maybe there were some situations where you should have just farmed, but it didn't feel like you know, this season I don't have very high farm numbers either. Because I think there's a lot of situations where you should just group up with your team and or get objectives and that kind of stuff. You don't need to farm that much, especially if you get kills. So I think having these CS numbers in this game is fine. They should maybe be a little bit higher, but this is not a huge problem. Yeah, it's just basically the things I told you, right? Like looking at the your awareness was quite bad this game overall, I would say, or it was just. Yeah, it's like you're playing with a blindfold on a little bit. And it could be so you could have so much more information by just pressing tab more and by just really looking at the lanes actively with your camera. Yeah, and also of course be aware of like lane ganking, right? That's something I really never see like lower elo players do that much. But it's super potent, it's so good. Like people, especially in low elo, they don't expect lane ganks ever because nobody's doing it there, but it often works, right? Like just walking into the lane brushes, especially on top lane, they're basically never warded. So if your top laner is pushing, like in that one situation, you remember, right, where I told you, where like the K'Sante was pushing your Garen into the tower. That was like a pretty good situation to just lane gank. If your top laner has pushed the wave kind of close to the tower and it's gonna come back in, then is the perfect scenario for that. But I will also make a video about ganking. I mean, I have made a video about it in the past, but I will make an updated video as well for like pathing and ganking and that kind of stuff. Do you have any more? Do you have like any questions? Maybe we still have some time.
So like I think like I got something to work on. That's the thing. That's the thing, you know. But I have, especially I have fun playing Echo. I don't know. I played a
Mm,
lot of champions
yeah,
also. As an Echo is just like the one I feel now, so I can like focus on the things I need to play.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's the same for me, honestly. I mean, Echo is just so fun compared to most other champs. The only other champ I enjoy quite a lot as well is Viego at the moment, but Viego is not very strong. But if you're looking for like another champ to play, I guess I can definitely recommend him.
Diego. All right.
Yeah, yeah, for like AD jungle as well, right? Sometimes you might not want to pick AP, but I think Echo at the moment is in a spot where he's definitely very blind pickable. Let's look at
Yeah.
his stats. I think he's definitely S tier, pretty sure. But Viego is not very good, sadly. Let's just see. Yeah, he's S tier. I mean, he's been around that for the last few patches. He's not broken. He's just in a very healthy spot, I would say.
Yeah. And I
Right.
felt like a half year ago or something, he was like I could always play him, and he usually never gets banned. But now like people gets they get to know him better, and now I get he gets banned often. I felt like
Really, I've never
also
seen him
play.
banned. Interesting. This is
Yeah.
super surprising that the Evelyn matchup is so difficult. I think Evelyn matchup is one of the easiest in the game. That's actually super surprising. Damn. I guess people just are not very good. Yeah, but Kha'Zix matchups, I think Kha'Zix definitely probably the hardest matchup at the moment. I think the stats also reflect that with the amount of matches here.
Yeah.
It's just, he can build such good items against you. He can build, Eclipse is already kind of good against you. Then like Maw is incredibly good. Edge of Night is pretty good, pretty annoying. If he's playing against a lot of shits, he could even go for Serpent's Fang, which is super good against Echo. So yeah. One thing also, you never built Lichbane.
Yeah.
I think that's not something you need to worry about right now, but in the future, right? Like, I think there's definitely it's definitely a skill to like be able to know which one you should build. For example, I think against more ranged champs, the Lichbane movement speed really helps you oftentimes.
All right. All right.
But that's something you'll just need to learn, like have experience with it and whatever. I would
Yeah.
say in general, Nash's is never bad. It's a very solid item.
Also, to like the speed you can proc the
For
passive.
example, this game, honestly, I would have in this game, I would have personally went for Lichbane
All right. Yeah.
because
Last
for
year.
yeah, like for example, Trundle, you can't really auto attack anyways, right? Like he will beat you if you auto attack him. That's
Yeah.
something you need to be aware of. And the other champs, they're either like ranged, and they're generally also pretty squishy. So you can actually one shot them if you're fat enough. And with Nashus, you can also one shot oftentimes if you're really fat, but not quite as like it just has a little bit less one shot potential, right? Like the damage from Lichbane is simply more than from the unhit from Nashus. So yeah, and the movement speed, of course, to just be able to get into the range. But if you like playing with Nashus, then don't switch it up for now. I think that's something you should maybe try thinking about when you're Diamond or whatever. You feel like you sometimes would rather build different items.
Yeah, and I think if you play him mid, I played him like a year ago. I played him a lot in my older account. I played him a lot in mid, and then I like
Mm-hmm.
usually build
Lich
not
Bane.
Nash. What's it called?
Lich
Bench.
Bane.
Lich Bait. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the problem with building it in mid can be that you don't have enough AP to clear waves, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're like you need to be on pace. I guess you can't be behind. If you're behind, then you cannot clear waves with Lich Bane, so it can be quite annoying. I think a lot of Echo mids also build Nashus nowadays. It's just more consistent with the higher AP, you know. But yeah, I mean it's a solid item in the jungle as well. It just really like let's look at my match history really quick. I think it's really like I built both of the items. I think I even built Lich Bane a little bit more at the moment. Here I built Nashers. Here I was going to build Lich Bane, Nashers, Nashers. Like I really, and also boots. Of course, you can see I built Mercs quite a lot. You never built Mercs. I built Mercs in, I would say, even over 50% of my games now that I look at it. It's just, and see, in some games I even have the tenacity runes as well. Like when I have precision secondary, it's usually tenacity. For example, Galio is a champ I almost instantly take tenacity against. It's just he can CC you for such a long time. And especially it helps you so much if he can't CC you, right? If his W is a shorter duration, then he can't hit his E, you know, so he can't even chain CC you, which he could normally do if you don't have any tenacity. That's why like having 50% tenacity is so valuable against champs like that. And or it's also, for example, against Amumu, I would often take it because he can CC you for a long time. I mean, I didn't do it here, but yeah, it's always choices. Of course, I don't know if you've watched my itemization video, but I also talk about it there a little bit. Also with the Nashor's and Lichbane. If you haven't, I can definitely recommend you to do that.
Alrighty.
Just so you have some more understanding on that, I guess. Like the strengths and weaknesses of the item builds. Yeah, you have any more questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, I will upload the session during the week. I mean, I still have one other session I need to upload on that, but yeah,
Yeah,
probably towards the end of the week I will upload it. I will also message you. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can, of course, always message me on Discord.
all right. Thank you.
All right. Very good. Okay, so I'm
Well,
gonna stop the
good.
recording then.